So this is the Camera 5 overview. This camera is used primarily for getting shots during the music portion of the service and also setting up for the most city shot. So let's walk through those. When you arrive, you want to take the lens cap off of your camera. Make sure it is switched to on over here. If you give it a few seconds, it'll come up and you'll see an image in your viewfinder. To unlock your camera so that you can move it up and down and left and right, you want to unlock the tilting, unlock the panning, and now your camera can move freely. The knobs with the yellow circle and the numbers inside of it is for drag. That's not for locking the camera. You'll typically want the drag turned up all the way because more drag means a smoother shot. On the left side of the camera, this controls the tilting drag, and on the right side of the camera down here, it controls the panning drag. So when you sit down behind your camera, you'll have your focus on your left side, your zoom on your right side, and rocking this back and forth. Some people like to put their thumb in it, like to hold it like this. Rocking it to the right zooms in, rocking it to the left zooms out. And turning it to the right, righty-tighty, brings the focus towards you. Turning it left, lefty-loosey, pushes the focus away from you. Right, focus towards you. Left, focus away. And we need to change your focus onto something. And if you're live, you want to do that smoothly and with very small turns like that. And when you operate your camera, you don't want to grip it like you're gripping a motorcycle. You want to use your fingertips to guide it back and forth. And so when somebody walks into your shot, you want to make sure you give them enough nose room and head room. So a shot for nose room is composed like this, the space in front of their nose. If you draw an imaginary tic-tac-toe on the screen, you'll see something called the rule of thirds. And if she turns and faces the opposite direction, we'll see we need to give her nose room in front of her. So this is too much headroom. This is too little headroom. This is perfect headroom because her eyes fall on the top third and she has enough nose room in front of her. This would be an example of a bad shot. Her head is in the middle of the frame. This would be an example of a bad shot. She doesn't have enough nose room in front of her, but if she turns around, now she has enough nose room. And you want to gently lead and stay a little ahead of the person when they're talking. When they turn and go the opposite way, we want to change our nose room direction to wherever they're facing. We typically want to get an IMAG shot, which means on the screen, they're bigger than they are in real life. Image magnification is what that stands for. So IMAG, whenever things go live to these side screens, they'll always be IMAG. At a certain point in the day, before the sermon starts, we're going to ask for the most city shot setup. And what that is in Missouri City, we have a full screen that's about 11 feet tall, and if Patrick or the speaker is 6'2" in real life, we want him to be 6'2" on the screen. So we've already pre-programmed out that ratio. So whenever they see it set up for the most city shot, you're going to get a shot that's kind of close to what it should look like. And then you're going to come up to the front of the camera and match up these tape marks perfectly. It can't be close, it can't be kind of not close, it's got to be perfect, like an unbroken piece of tape. The front piece of tape controls the focus, the back piece controls the zoom. And then whenever you're finished with your shot, getting it set up this is not a proper shot. There's too much space below the speaker's feet. So we want to bring our camera up to where the bottom of it is touching the bottom of those speakers. And this is an example of a bad shot because the speaker is not centered. So we need the person speaking centered, and the bottom of your frame to bump up against the bottom of those speakers. And now we've got a perfect most city shot. Panning is always left and right. Tilting is always up and down. We never want to get those terms confused. And you can add a combination of moves into there. That is, we'll start with our subject off screen, not completely off screen, and a little wide. And so we will pan and tilt at the same time and zoom in. And we should be getting a nice, smooth, slow shot where we're zooming in and winding up on a perfect shot with the rule of thirds being obeyed and smooth panning and tilting and zooming. The trick to zooming is getting into it smoothly so we don't jerk into it like that and then rectify it. We want to find where our zoom starts and get into it as smoothly and as gracefully as possible without a noticeable, big, jumpy, jerky camera change. So whenever you're filming a speaker, you don't want to sway with them like this and sort of motion track them. It'll make people in the audience sick. What you want is whenever their feet are planted and they're swaying, just let them sway within the frame and only start moving when they start moving. And the rule there is you just don't want their shoulders to go off frame and try to get ahead of them. And when they come to a nice gentle stop, you're coming to a nice gentle stop. When they start going the other direction, you're anticipating that and giving them a little bit of lead room. So an example of a bad shot is letting them go off the screen like this. Her shoulders go off screen and then you catch up. You always want to keep them in the frame. We'll typically want you to use focus assist on your camera because it's hard to tell if something is truly in focus on these monitors. It can look in focus out here, but when you look at it on a high def screen, it's out of focus. So the focus assist button is down here in the bottom right hand corner. It'll turn everything black and white on your screen only. And then whatever's in focus will have a sort of red outline around it, like around the microphone right there. So you'll see the red highlights start to pop on the plane that's in focus. So use that. Don't trust your eyeballs because they can be fooled by these little monitors where everything looks like they're in focus, but on a massive screen, it's just slightly out of focus, but you just can't tell unless you use your focus assist. So always use your focus assist.